David McDonald with the Pit Sports Entertainment. We're here at the distinguished Henry Hotel here in Dearborn, and I'm sitting down with James LaBrie of Dream Theater. James, how's it going, sir?
It's going great, David. It's going great. Yeah.
I understand it's been kind of a busy day so far.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're out here touring, so we're out here to work. So it's a lot of the days are get up, you know, work out, and then interviews, and then go to the venue, and then get ready for the show. Yeah. So yeah, it's all part of it. Glorified salesman.
I've actually, you know, that is kind of the way a band works. You're really sort of out there to sell the material that this band produces.
Absolutely.
And have you guys sort of, at least you personally, gotten a feeling for the routine of being on tour?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know what works, you know what doesn't, and so you try and keep everything within those parameters. You know, because I mean, you're going at a fast pace every day. You're in a different city. You know, right now we're out doing evenings with, so it's 3-hour shows. So yeah, you have to really make sure that you know you're on top of how it is that you look after yourself and let each and every day unfold so that it works for you and not against you.
I can absolutely see that. Yeah. It's an important sort of responsibility to take on, especially for a band that has this track record and this history of being out there and continually getting the job done.
Yes, indeed.
So this is the Along for the Ride tour. Like you said, it's sort of an intimate 3-hour sort of performance. Is there a certain level of, you know, you get a little more attached to the crowds, a little more attached to the cities doing a show like this?
Well, I you know, obviously, yeah, you're out in front of your fans for a much longer period of time each and every evening. But I think what it enables us to do is that you can slowly let the night unfold. You don't feel that you're under any time constraints. Not that, you know, an hour and a half set is usually what most bands do. But even when we aren't doing evenings with, our sets are usually close to at least a 2-hour show, you know, 2-hour, 15-minute show. But I think it really allows us to, first and foremost, because of the nature of our music being that the songs tend to be a little longer than 2 or 3 minutes. So this really helps us in the fact that we can play more of our songs. Even though within this set we're playing a big epic song, you know, Illumination Theory from the latest self-titled album, which is 20 plus minutes. And so, you know, it just, with more time you can play more songs from your catalog so that you can kind of spread it out. Now with that being said, you know, we are focused on 2 albums while we're out here as well, being that there's 2 albums that are celebrating anniversaries. The Awake album was released 20 years ago, so we're playing material from that. Scenes from a Memory was released 15 years ago, so we're playing a few songs from that album as well, just to recognize those albums. But yeah, I think, you know, it just really has I don't know, it makes for a stronger connection with the fans throughout the evening, because you're able to be playing songs from various albums and you know, getting a real good vibe and reciprocation of energy from one another throughout the evening.
Very interesting, very, very insightful. For you guys, I mean, just bringing up the fact that you do have these 2 albums that are celebrating huge anniversaries.
Yeah.
Does the history of what this band is essentially accomplished, does it ever sort of, do you guys ever have the time to marvel at it or wonder, how are we still doing this?
Yeah. No, I mean, personally, I don't do that. I think really what matters is what, I mean, it's great to be able to briefly reflect on what you've done and really appreciate, because we do. We you know, we've never taken any of this for granted. We're very blessed to be able to have such an elongated career as we have had. But I think what really, you know, it comes down to is, what is your current situation? Are you relevant? You know, and is it what you're doing? Does it sound like it belongs in the now? contemporary? Does it stand up? And do you not, do you sit within the pocket of what everyone might essentially gravitate to musically? And I think that's really what it comes down to for us, you know, that we always want to feel that our music, now that we are out in support of being the self-titled album, that is what we want to feel, that it's still resonating with our fans and that it's still making an impression on them and beyond those borders, the fan base borders, you know, harnessing or whatever some of the other musical likings or people that tend to not even recognize a band like this might, for some reason, feel that, you know, what we're doing right now has introduced them to something that they never really thought that they might appreciate, you know, which brings them on board. And we always see that each time we're out in support of an album, we see a lot of new faces coming in, and the reason I can say they're new faces is because they're extremely young. The demographic, you know, especially with a band like this, we have a demographic from 14-year-olds to 65-year-olds, and it's encouraging, you know. It really is inspiring because it says to us that we're keeping the fans that we have had for many years, but at the same time we're also bringing in the new, and so it's just very encouraging. Yeah.
I'm really sort of taken aback by that answer, because when you listen to this newest eponymously titled album, Dream Theater, it sounds so modern for a band that's been around for so long. And what is it about this band that's always able to sort of tap into what you guys do musically, but at the same time have a really good grip of this is a more, you know, we've matured, we've reflected on what's going on with us musically, and we've said that we're going in this direction?
Yeah. Well, the reason I laugh there is because, you know, I just, you hear that more and more as your career goes on, when you have had the you know, the opportunity to be in an industry as long as we have, you start getting, when you've been around for so long, you know. So it's kind of funny to hear that, because you realize that this industry, it's not for the weak, and the fact that we've been able to do it as long as we have, and to be able to still, as I say, resonate with our fan base and beyond our fan base, really says and rings true to us that we are doing the right thing. You know, it's just affirmation that, you know, we're doing what we should be doing, you know, for a band that still loves doing what we do and wants to continue doing what we do. And I think that lends itself to what you're mentioning, is the reason that I think our music really has something to say today, as it did, you know, 25 years ago when we began this, is because we really are, you know, just really dedicated to who and what we are as a band, what we represent musically, and realizing that the only way that we're going to be able to continue doing something like what we do is to recognize what we represent musically and to never lose sight of that identity, you know, but at the same time to be able to feel that we are creating something that it's different, it's a different statement, and that it musically has brought us to a place that we haven't previously traveled. And I think that's really something that every band tries to attain, you know, and tries to really succeed at, is that you feel that each and every album is something that you haven't previously touched upon musically. And I think with this latest album, without losing our sense of identity, we were able to really keep it exciting and not so predictable, and once again pushing the envelope, you know, doing the what our fans have come to expect from us, and that is, you know, creating something that is very dynamic and very bold and very powerful musically. And I think that's really what enables us to continue doing what we do.
You know, this brings something up, and I wasn't planning to ask a question like this, but considering...
You still don't have to.
But I really do need to, actually.
Okay.
When you look at the state of the music industry right now, when there's so much talent out there at this moment, that a lot of artists are divided by this idea of we either have to be extremely, you know, breaking the mold or pushing the envelope, and then the other side of it being so we have to deliver exactly what the fans expect. Were there ever those pressures in the beginning for this band of deciding?
No, I mean, I think from the very beginning we kind of stuck out like a sore thumb because we weren't, you know, of the mainstream. And so I think, you know, when the labels came on board and they wanted to sign us and they wanted to, you know, support this band with albums and releases and distribution and promotion, they realized what they were getting into. It wasn't, you know, a radio band, so to speak, a video band, so to speak. It was a band based on creating their own niche, you know, and that's the way that it's always been. I think there were moments, a very, very extremely brief moment in our career where the label thought they were going to push us down the avenue that might have brought us a little bit more mainstream success, being the Falling to Infinity era. And that really didn't bode too well with us, and it strained our relationship with our label. But we were able to really turn that around quite quickly, in the sense that we said, the only way this band's going to continue going on is that if you leave us to our own devices. If we screw up and we fail, then at least we did it on our own terms. And they were, you know, they had enough respect for us that they stood back, and that's when we came out with Scenes from a Memory, from that brief tumultuous period, you know, so to speak. But yeah, and everything has since then continued and that. But I mean, it's always been on our own terms. I mean, it couldn't be any other way. If people were trying to produce or direct us in a certain fashion, then it would just, I think it would just crumble. It really would, because we wouldn't feel engaged.
Right, and like you say, I mean, you guys really are your own sort of, you're making these decisions of what you want to do musically independently. And it's interesting because this isn't a question, but if you're ever on the internet, I see this picture. It's a meme, and it's like the mosh pit for Dream Theater, and it's all kids taking the SAT. And I laugh every time I see it. Like, you know, it is your identity. It's the way you guys do things.
Yeah,
and it's very rich. Yeah. Like, nice to see a band decide to be who they want to be and succeed in that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Although we have had the mosh pits, but oh yeah, and not with SAT people.
How do you know that they're not SAT people? How do you know?
Well, maybe they are, and they're just letting loose, right?
Yeah.
They're releasing some of that stress. But,
everybody has more than one dimension.
I think it depends on the song that we're playing, you know? Yeah, but definitely, you know, yeah. I mean, we've created our own situation, our own little bubble, you know, which is cool. It's really allowed us to have a very, very successful and prolific career.